While CSGO continues to dick about on Twitter, fruitlessly, I decided to dick about somewhere else instead, somewhere you'd appreciate. And that was by investigating whether CSGO would benefit from Vulcan. You may have heard of things like DirectX or OpenGL. Well, Vulcan is another one of those things, and better than the one that CSGO currently uses because it should help to reduce overheads, resulting in more consistent, if not better, performance, and less latency per frame. A real success story of Vulcan was its implementation in Doom 2016. Compared with OpenGL, Vulcan improved performance on Nvidia cards by somewhere between 3 and 11%, and on AMD cards by as much as 40%. But it seems the benefits of moving to Vulcan depend very much on the engine and on the use case. Because when Dota 2 got Vulcan support, in general use its performance actually dropped. Oh no. But in a busy battle scene with high draw calls, performance became significantly better, thanks to Vulcan. And when do frame rates matter most? That's right, all the time, but especially when there's heavy action on screen. And perhaps even more importantly than that, Vulcan resulted in significant latency reduction of more than 3 milliseconds per frame when compared with DirectX, which Valve noted was really important for latency-sensitive games. And in brackets, esports. Which other source-based game fits those requirements? Left 4 Dead 2, which itself got Vulcan support about 2 months ago. Because I quite like this game, I used this as an opportunity to carry out a series of rigorous tests, comparing the performance of DirectX 9 against Vulcan. And I found nothing worth reporting on. It was the least productive day I've had all week. Well, okay, I did discover some things from my testing. 99th percentile performance actually seems markedly worse when using Vulcan, visibly stuttering when entering new areas or when new sound effects are being played for the first time. I mean, this has always happened with Source, but it seemed much worse at the start of any Vulcan-rendered game that I played. Within a minute or so, it seemed to go away, but given that my benchmark sequence was less than 2 minutes in length, it impacted heavily on the results I collected. But looking back at Dota 2's results, they said it made the game perform better when under heavy loads. So I threw all of my repeatable, rigorous testing out of the window and I just played a finale, once with DirectX and another with Vulcan, and suddenly, Vulcan performed better. This was despite there still being a series of noticeable stutters at the start, which DirectX didn't display. And yet despite this, the 90% and 95% minimums were still significantly higher with Vulcan, indicating more stable performance overall. Now I dislike benchmarking chaotic scenes like this one because there are so many variables that you need to account for, but it does at least indicate that Left 4 Dead, when using Vulcan, runs more solidly during combat sequences, after it's gone through a few initial stutters and freezes anyway. But the move to Vulcan would be about more than just performance. I think it's also about making life easier for Valve, who currently have CSGO running on DirectX for Windows and on OpenGL for Linux. I don't know what maintaining 2 different APIs entails, but I'm sure it would be easier for it all to be on one unified API. If only there was something they could both use. But who cares about Linux, you might ask? Yeah, I don't either. But Valve does. And very soon I will too, because it's what the Steam Deck runs on. Why? That's yet another great reason for why Valve should make all their games use the same renderer, isn't it? Makes you think that porting Left 4 Dead 2 the other month wasn't just something they did for the hell of it, nor when Portal 2 gained Vulcan support back in February of this year. Maybe, just maybe, CSGO will also get the Vulcan treatment sometime soon. But if they're going to do that, then why not go further still?
Achieved with
Source. It's getting to the point where I no longer ask, why should CSGO get Source 2, but rather, why shouldn't it? Source 2 is no longer just a half-finished engine. The launch of Half-Life Alyx saw to that, and Valve can port older games to it, like they did with Dota 2. And they've shown a drive to modernise other Source-based games recently as well, like with Left 4 Dead 2's transition to Vulcan just the other month. And don't give me the old, CSGO already uses the bits of Source 2 that would benefit it nonsense. Because we all know it would benefit from other bits it doesn't yet have. Updated mapping features for a start. I mean, even FM Pwn has dropped his CSGO hammer and has moved to Half-Life Alyx's greener pastures for his mapping fixes. Take a hint. And yes, new maps like Ancient are beautiful and all that, but they're still so Source 1. Since CSGO's release, every bit of the game has been modernised, apart from the very thing that's being used to render it. And before you say, it'll slow it down, firstly, Half-Life Alyx looks and runs great. And it manages that in part because Vulcan's good for that kind of thing. And if you argue that change will ruin the pro scene, I'll argue that it's being ruined without it. So yeah, I'm holding out hope that we're going to get something pretty for CSGO soon. And then on top of that, Valve has just started dropping cryptic clues on Twitter. You can go on about how they're trolling or debating all you like. But no, you can't just tease at stuff without there being repercussions. And as someone who dislikes it when a large company tries to act all sassy on social media, I'd rather be like, fine, you're teasing at something, I'm going to expect something big. And if you don't deliver, then I won't be mad, just disappointed. And CSGO, you don't want disappointed fans right now. So that's it. Source 2 confirmed. Get on the hype train now while you still can, because once it moves to Vulcan, you'll be left for dead.